It's a huge week here in Massachusetts. Number one, the leaves are changing. It's absolutely spectacular. But on the other side of the state, I'm north of Boston, but all the way over on the western side this weekend in Holyoke, Massachusetts, it's
Mm,
the International Volleyball Hall of Fame induction weekend. It's so
yeah.
cool. Lots of people from the volleyball world will be there, and it's exciting. Among the inductees on the American side, Tim Hovland, the great beach player, who was also a great indoor player, Sue Lemaire, a referee, and a new category this year, uh, recognition of the media. And the first two going in are the late Bill Kaufman and our late partner, Ed Chan, who
Oh,
great guys who really cared about our sport. So it's very exciting. Ed's wife, Julie, and a lot of Ed's families coming. So
good.
big time, big time. Anyway,
Oh.
we're here to talk about NCAA volleyball. Hi, Em.
Hey,
She had Sunday off and then texted
I
me a picture of herself drinking a beer.
well, to be honest, it's funny. I rarely ever have weekend days off, but our match was early on Saturday at Minnesota. It was at 5 p.m. And so I was actually taking an 8:30 p.m. flight. And so I was like, whoever wins the first set, I hope they just roll through it and I can get on this flight and not miss it. But it ended up being a decently quick match. Minnesota kind of handled Maryland pretty easily. And I ended up getting back at like 10 p.m. Saturday and had a fun little Sunday. Watched some football. It was marathon day here in Chicago, which is like my favorite day of the year. It was lovely. I had a good
Yeah,
day.
yeah, women's world record.
Yeah, I know the place that we were set up, they kept announcing it to like all the runners going by, and I was like, I'm sure these people are like excited about it, but they still have 20 miles to go. So,
Just the thought of it. So
yeah.
I'm taking one for the team here. All right. So I grew up in Stony Brook, New York. It's my hometown. It's out on Long Island, a wonderful place, and the university there has always been close to my heart. I did not go there. Like Emily, I went to school in Illinois. She went to a school for the degree. I got the degree, but had way more fun at Southern Illinois, at Carbondale.
Okay.
But Kristen Belzung, the coach at Stony Brook, who's one of the coolest people who played at Northern Iowa, was a great player there and has got things going for the Seawolves. Yes.
Nice.
The reason I say I'm taking one for the team is because this is a fabulous shirt. The material is wonderful. It's just really thin and it's short sleeve and it's cold as hell here in my office. But when you get a shirt this cool, you
That's
take one for
cool.
the team. Yeah. So Stony Brook. Anyway,
That reminds me, I actually bought, and I'm gonna go run and grab it because it's worth it. So I had SMU at Pitt on Wednesday, and Pitt was selling these shirts that, drum roll please, are so cool.
okay. I don't know if anybody can hear that. And for those of you watching, thank you for staring at Empty's Emily's back
No,
drop all the
this is this
Northwestern.
is chaotic and worth it, I promise. It's super cool. And I actually bought this because I loved it so much.
Oh, good.
Watch more women's volleyball. Me
That's
and Sam Gore both bought them. I was so excited. I thought this was like the coolest shirt ever.
well. Brenda's got a shirt that says in French about the world is watching women's sports,
Oh yeah, that's
and she wore
yeah.
that in Paris.
Yeah, I have that sweatshirt too. I've had it for like 2 years now. I'm
Oh
obsessed with
wow,
it.
that's good. I'm just Stony Brook Seawolves proud today. So um, our poll
It-
came out this morning. The Volleyball Mag Super 16 media.
yeah.
I voted Pitt number one still. Did
Did
you
you?
Nebraska number one?
I put Nebraska number one because to me, wins and losses have to matter. And when you have the same losses and you look at the wins, Nebraska has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight top 25 wins, and Pitt has five. So to me, that was a huge difference maker. When you look at the teams, I'm not sure if I would argue that Nebraska looks better than Pitt. But to me, I don't necessarily go by the eye test for a lot of these when I think a team is better. I look at win-loss record, and to me, Nebraska's resume is more impressive than Pitt.
I did just the opposite. I thought, well, I'm going with um, Pitt still because they both have one loss, and the eyeball to me is Pitt's better. Of course, that
Yeah.
may not get solved until the last match of the season. And right now, if you told me, I think everybody else is playing for third place. I keep waiting for somebody to merge or for one of the
Yeah.
two of them to really falter. And I don't consider Pitt losing to SMU after sweeping SMU. It's hard to play on the road in any conference, and
Yeah.
especially now as we get to the middle of the season, it becomes a grind, and there will be more upsets like this. Nebraska's still got plenty of really tough matches to go.
Oh, yeah.
Pitt hasn't played Louisville twice yet, hasn't played Georgia Tech twice yet, you know, and on and on. So,
It's just so funny. And I tweeted this, but Wednesday I had SMU at Pitt, and these matches just couldn't have been more different. Pitt completely handled SMU on Wednesday. They hit over 400. They held SMU to like 100. Olivia Babcock goes off. She had like 12 kills in the second set. It was not even a match. And I left that. And I know we talked about it. I talked to many people about it. I was like, there is not a team that will beat Pitt. Seeing them in person was just like
yeah.
genuinely. I mean, I was floored by how good this team was, seeing them in person, and watching that kind of performance they put on and how they run their program, the pieces that they have, and all of that. And, naturally I go to Twitter and I'm like tweeting about all this stuff. Like, no one's going to take down Pitt. I don't see how an ACC team beats them. And then naturally Saturday rolls around and that happens. But that's why we love NCAA volleyball, because you literally never know what's going to happen. And SMU came out, they were ready to go. They made fantastic adjustments from that Wednesday match. Their defense picked up every single set. And then the fifth set, they were just unstoppable.
Well, there's also too, you have a tendency when you're in person and you see a team,
Yeah.
you tend to feel like more attached to them and they're more impressive upon you than if you watch them on TV or if you're just looking at the stats. But see what they got going for them too is tons of experience. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grad students, and most impressive is the ones who have transferred in. You know, particularly Naya Shimei and
I mean, all of them have transferred in
right,
pretty
right,
much.
but
Their entire starting
so her
lineup,
and
except
help me here, the other outside hitter.
Maya Tabron. I mean, literally their entire team. You have
Yeah,
Maya
take
Tabron on the
thank you.
outside.
Yeah, I mean, the two of them were good players, and now they've become just super outstanding players, and they're having
Yeah.
great seasons. I teased Sam, their coach, and said it's like Sam's home for wayward volleyball players. I mean, they have so many transfers who have come in, but to their credit, when you get these transfers, if you make them better, and in their case, so many of them are better, you know, good for you and your staff. And she has a great
Yeah.
staff.
I mean, I have nothing but incredible things to say about this SMU program. I love the way Sam Erger runs it. She is so bought into the culture and to the entire school of building it up, because she knows that Dallas is a major volleyball hub. The school gets fantastic resources. She feels like this is a place that she can build. She wants to be a builder. And to be honest, part of that is bringing in transfers. She's in her third season. She had to essentially start from scratch with this team, brought in setter Celia Cullen in 2022 and kind of built the team around her. She's one of the most impressive setters I think that I've seen. The way that she's able to even side set balls from the back corner to the outside is insane. But she not only brought in these transfers, she completely had them adapt to the culture that she wanted. She knew she was bringing in good people. They're also ballers, and I wouldn't say any of them were, huge standouts necessarily or household names at that point. These are players that might have been a little bit underrated, but she's developed them over the last 2-3 years to become these really elite players. And also those transfers completely bought in right away. Also, when you're bringing in either seniors or grad transfers, they're smart enough to know, about asking current players questions of like, what's the culture like? What's this fit? Rather than when you have freshmen coming in, they don't ask a lot of these questions. I just, I love this SMU program, and for them to get now two top two wins at home tells you a lot about one, the culture that they have, what they're building. And I think SMU is going to be a really good program for years to come because of Sam Erger and how good of a coach she is.
Well, what I think is they play fantastic defense and
Yeah.
they don't get rattled. Nothing bothers them. But
Yeah.
so they jumped up to ninth in our poll with a
Hmm.
very narrow 1 point margin over Wisconsin, who's now at 10. So the poll which came out today. So Pitt, Nebraska, Penn State, Louisville, Stanford, Creighton. Creighton stayed dropped from 5th to 6th. I kept them at 3 because I just think Creighton is 15-2, has 2 losses in 5 sets to both Louisville and Nebraska, and has quality wins until somebody, and they're not, sure they might lose in the Big East because again, back to the part where conference play is hard, especially on the road. But and then Texas, Kansas, SMU, Wisconsin, Purdue, Oregon, Arizona State, Minnesota, USC, and Kentucky, which dropped 4 spots to 12 in ours. But I mean, they got spanked by Texas yesterday.
Yeah. And
But
on the Creighton at 3-0, Pitt was the last team. I guess I still haven't seen Kansas yet, but that was the last team of all of our teams that I have seen in person. I guess I haven't seen USC either, but I've now seen all these teams in person. And again, I do think that actually does make a difference when I'm, weighing who's good and who's not. Let me tell you, Penn State deservedly should be at that number 3 spot. I think they right now look a little better than Louisville. I think a decent amount better than Stanford. And to be honest, I think Creighton's a really good team, but I think Penn State's a lot better.
I've only watched Penn State play 2 full matches, one on TV and one in person. The one I
Yeah.
saw them on TV, they crushed Louisville. The one I saw in
Yeah.
person, they got absolutely crushed by Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And so there's so much of that. But anyway, I just can't give SMU such a high ranking on my. I put them at 12, and
Well, I have an 8.
yeah, and here and this isn't not maybe not fair because of what's coming, but I kept saying, all right, show me what you got Wednesday. Play Stanford on Wednesday, either win that match or lose it in a tough 5 or a tough 4, and you kind of validate yourself. So if not, if SMU were to lose that match and you go, oh well, they lost 2 out of 3 to the top teams, to Pittsburgh and Stanford. So I don't know. That was playing in my mind. That's not necessarily fair.
No, I think it's a fair point though. And again, I win or I weigh wins and losses really heavily. So for me, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, their wins are better than most of the teams ahead of them. I would argue like Stanford, Creighton, Texas, their wins look better, but they do have a loss to Hawaii. It was in 5. They have a loss to LMU, who is another unranked team. So to me, those weighed a little bit more. That's why I didn't have them ahead. And I also couldn't justify bumping them from like 15th to like 5th. But
Um,
I don't know. I mean, their wins right now. They're
oh,
the only team to take down 1 and 2.
no, right. Well, I'm really glad that even though Utah didn't get in, I'm glad Utah's getting love.
Yeah.
TCU got votes again, was right knocking on the door. And in a roundabout way, high fives to Ryan McGuire, the coach at Baylor, because he lost his whole staff, including Sam Erger and Jason Williams, who went to TCU. And that's really hard. You can see the tremendous job that the two of them have done at those respective schools. And then they go back and they beat Baylor, over the times of these few years that they've been gone. Yeah, I joked in my comments that I really thought about South Dakota State because I mean they're unbeaten, and I know it's the Summit League, and it's like you're going to ask me like North Carolina last week who they beaten. Come on, I know, but
Yeah.
if you have not seen Dayton play and Lexi Almodovar, oh my gosh, what a seriously good outside hitter. But I don't know if you remember last week. I thought about Sunday. We almost went up to New Hampshire yesterday, but it was raining and miserable, and I had a bunch of other stuff to do. And I actually went into Boston for a short while because USA Volleyball region commissioners were all there, and I went to go see people and hang out. So I didn't go to New Hampshire, but Binghamton's got a player named Svetlana Ilieva. This is in a sweep loss, 25 kills, 6 aces, 9 digs,
Oh,
and 2 blocks
okay.
in a sweep loss. I mean, are you kidding me? Bucknell had won 15 in a row, but lost to Colgate. And Jill Presley, 26 kills for DePaul. And every day I try to keep track of the lines of the day when I'm not trying to figure out how many reverse sweeps there are. It just continued. Remember last week we talked all about the reverse
Yeah.
sweeps? There were so many, but quick one. Saturday, Canisius down 19-10 to Sacred Heart, and still 21-16 in the third, about to get swept, and wins 23-25, 18-25, 29-27,
God,
25-23, 15-8. That's the greatest reverse sweep of the season.
that's great.
Yeah. Katie Ryan from Washington State had 30 kills and hit 531. In one, they were one of the ones who had a reverse sweep. Uh, so somewhere in here in the notes, they'll become jumbled. But I want to
Yeah.
give some love because we spend so much time. Addison Haluska from Fresno State, 29 kills against San Diego State. Emerald Jacobs, some of these are great names. 28 kills for Houston Christian against Lamar.
Nice.
And anyway, I could keep going with these all the time. One more.
One person that I don't think she's been out for a while that hasn't got enough love, but Oregon had a pretty big week sweeping USC and Washington.
You
But
mean
Washington has
Colliers? Amy Collier's numbers yesterday.
Yeah, well, she had 17 in a sweep over USC, and then obviously, another huge night against Washington. But Washington has an outside that's now back in the lineup, Kirsten Barton, who I love watching. She put up 20 kills against Oregon. She was back. I think this was her first week back since like mid-September, early September. So fun to see her back, and she's a baller if you haven't watched her.
Amy Collier yesterday, 25 kills against Washington, hit 306 with an ace, 13 digs, 6 blocks, one of them
Yeah.
solo. You know who's just having a great year. And it's so exciting to see her bust through because it's just such a good move for her is Allie Batenhorst at
Yeah.
USC last night, 13 kills, 3 assists, 2 aces, 11 digs, and 4 blocks. You know,
Yep.
and it was a good move for her. It was a good move for Nebraska. You know, it's a win-win. Plus, I was really glad at what a great reception she had when they went back and played at
Yeah. Well,
Nebraska.
let's talk about Nebraska's win over Purdue. My God.
Oh, I was going to get to that, but I wanted one quick one from yesterday. South Carolina, whose coach Tom Mendoza is one of the great guys who's worked his way up and got that job and has always done well at South Carolina. Uh, Not only went to Florida, but swept at Florida,
Yeah.
and they hadn't won at Florida since 1986.
Awesome.
Yes, so and that includes losing every time since becoming a member of the SEC in 1991. So about those Huskers,
Heck of a match. I mean, to be honest, watching that match, I think the consensus was very clear that Nebraska didn't necessarily win that match and Purdue very much lost that match, at least in my eyes. And from what I've seen, when you're up 10-8 in a fifth set, you've got to find a way to close it out. Yes, you're playing at Devaney, one of the toughest places to play in the entire country. But I mean, you can't make 4 service errors in the first 7 points of the fifth set. That's not something that you can do.
Purdue out hit Nebraska 311 to 242.
The stats are
Out
crazy.
blocked them 15 to 5.5.
And Hudson and Chacoin combined for nearly 50 kills. And obviously, yes, you can talk about balance and maybe Purdue needs to be a little bit more balanced, whatever. But to be honest, I don't think you do when you have two players like Eva Hudson and Chloe Chacoin that even when you know they're getting set, they're going to still find a way to put the ball down. I mean, Hudson was incredible during that fifth set, but man, Purdue shot themselves in the foot. You have 19 service errors total over a 5-set match. Again, 4 of those happening in the fifth set. I mean, that was a tough opportunity for Purdue. I think a really lost opportunity for them to get a massive win over a Nebraska team that very much showed you that they were not on their A game for that entire match. And that was a really, really big missed opportunity for the Boilers.
Not to do the whole nation because inevitably you're going to have one of those, hey, Emily picks for the Big Ten Network. But the top outside hitters right now in the Big Ten are Sarah Franklin and Jess Maruzic
Yep.
playing better than everybody else right now? And is Eva Hudson right there? And who am I not giving enough love to?
Hudson's definitely up there. I would say to me, watching these players just
Which you do.
it's fun. Yes, but I would say to me, Jess Merzick and Sarah Franklin are in a league of their own. Yes, Raina Terry at Illinois is very, very good, but she's not a very good passer. Eva Hudson's 100% up there. Part of it is she gets 8,000 attempts on her team, but no, she's definitely up there with Merzick and Franklin. I just don't think she's playing at a high enough level for me to say that she's kind of in a league of her own with them. But no, I think Merzick and Franklin to me are 2 of 3 best outsides in the country, along with, I would say, Tori Stafford. DeBeer's getting better and Charity Looper's getting better at Louisville. But right now it's Merzick, Franklin, and Stafford for me. I mean, I think they're by far the best in the country, but Big Ten wise, Merzick and Franklin. Yeah.
New studio lights. What do you think? Make a big enough difference?
I was going to say, you look good. Well,
As
let's
my
dive
friend
into
John Brady, the LSU basketball coach, always used to say, I'm just doing the best I can with the collection of players I currently have. So I'm just doing the best I can. But it seems to add a better dimension to the whole thing.
Oh, you look great.
I found a baby picture of myself over here.
Oh, I love that.
Well, it's better left blurred.
All right, let's talk about the week coming up.
Well, just real quick with the SEC, now that things have settled out a little bit. Texas is 5-0. Who do you think the other undefeated team in SEC play is?
Tell us.
Arkansas at 4-0.
Yeah. They're
Very
they've been
quiet, 14
sneaky.
and they lost Jill Gill and Taylor Head and 14-2 and 4-0. And then Auburn, is 14-2 and 4-1. And A&M, tough loss yesterday at LSU, which is 3-3 and is a mystery if you watch LSU. They got a kid named Journey Robinson. She's a sophomore outside hitter. She's worth
Oh,
the price of
good.
admission. But
Good.
they're up and down. Missouri, big win yesterday over Tennessee, which all of a sudden is 9-6 and 2-3. So that's your SEC moment.
Love it.
Let me you sent me well, the big one, of course, is the one I talked about, which is
Stanford at SMU on Wednesday.
oh, absolutely. But Kentucky at Tennessee, that's a big win, big match for both teams because Kentucky needs a win and Tennessee desperately needs a win after coming off that loss. But yeah, Stanford at SMU. That's a what have you done for me lately match for SMU.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's a great opportunity for SMU. Again, they're at home, and we've seen Moody Magic play out against Nebraska, against Pitt. Perfect opportunity for them to go in and get another massive one. And to be honest, SMU, I think they're coming off of it was like 7 road trips in a row. And that was actually something we talked to Sam Erger about. She was like, I got to rethink how we do our non-con because we cannot have this many weeks in a row on the road. It was brutal for them. So I think they're pumped to be back. They clearly play incredibly well at home, and Stanford's going into a tough environment. And I don't know if their defense is where it needs to be at right now to slow down SMU, but we'll see.
Friday, Oregon at Wisconsin, the first match as a Big Ten between the two of them, and
That's
then
a big one for Wisconsin. Wisconsin really needs a win right now. They have not been doing their best wins right now were Baylor and TCU. They've lost to Louisville, they've lost to Texas, Stanford, and Minnesota. Um, Wisconsin really needs to win to actually show that they are still Wisconsin.
we uh, would not have imagined that Florida was playing Texas A&M, both coming off losses this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one in the SEC. And then Sunday, Minnesota at Penn State. And every time I think Minnesota, they're just not as good as I think. And then all of a sudden they are.
Lee, Phoebe Awalea on Saturday had 14 blocks in a 3-set match. The team put up 19 against Maryland. It was like every single play. It was just like, oh, there's Phoebe again. There's Phoebe. I mean, she was insane. I've never seen anything like it.
Also Sunday, you have Auburn at Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas A&M again, Stanford at Pitt. That's a tough road trip now for Stanford.
Very.
That's a come out of that road trip 2-0 and you're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then also Sunday, Utah at BYU. BYU coach Heather Olmstead, who's been there a very long time, but she was Beth Lanier's assistant way back when at Utah. And those matches are always great. And BYU is a real cool gym. It's pretty
Yeah.
packed. You can get a lot of people in
And
there. And
Utah coming off a big week, taking down Baylor and TCU. So you never know with this one. Utah could be sneaking back in.
I haven't seen the AVCA poll yet. And for all I know, I'm checking my mailbox real quick to see if I have an advance notice on it because they've got to move into the top 25.
Yeah, they have to with those wins.
They
I mean,
got votes. They got votes from us in the top 16. So whatever. Good. What are your matches this week?
I'm kind of all over the place, but I do have some fun ones. Wednesday, I have Indiana at Illinois. I have 3 matches, and I have not had almost any of these teams, so I'm excited. I love covering Indiana, obviously, being from Bloomington. I love Steve Aird. I also love covering Illinois. Raina Terry is so much fun to watch. And their coach Chris Thomas is just a gem. So I have that Wednesday. Friday, Nebraska at Michigan State. Haven't had Nebraska in a few weeks.
Trap game.
Trap game. Michigan State is very good, especially very good at home. And I haven't had Michigan State. I think I.
And you get to see Leah Johnson, who's
Yeah.
let me
So
tell you, Leah Johnson's husband's Christmas cards are the funniest Christmas cards practically I've ever got. He's just great. I wish he would write for us.
Love that. I have that match Friday and then quick turnaround Saturday, Indiana Purdue, which is my favorite match to call because it's always exciting. The Monon Spike Trophy. And again, as a girl coming from Bloomington, I know how much this match means for both teams. So I'm really excited.
That's good. That's a good fun week.
Yeah, it's kind of like all over the place. Again, a lot of teams I haven't had yet. I haven't had Purdue, haven't had Indiana, teams that I've watched a ton, but haven't actually called the matches. So yeah, hopefully we get some good ones.
I'm excited about the International Volleyball Hall of Fame weekend. It's always fun. There's so many
Sure.
reasons to love to go to Holyoke. Number one is it's a city that's had hard times and is coming back. The foliage is unbelievable this time of
I
year
was
driving
gonna
there.
say the foliage is reason enough to go.
Great. So many people from the volleyball world will be there that I can't wait to see, including Doug Beal, the former USA Olympic coach and CEO, and everybody who's going into the hall. Zay Roberto from Brazil. I
Yeah.
know you've covered a bunch for Volleyball Nations
You
League.
gonna be there?
Yeah, I believe so. And
Oh,
yeah, and so we have some great Puerto Rican and Latin American restaurants to go see. The pork in Holyoke is unparalleled. It's so good. And then the induction ceremony's Saturday night. It's a big deal and it's really good. You can stream it live. IVHF.org.
got it.
Emily Ehman, of course, is the Big Ten ESPN Volleyball World television analyst, and she is a volleyball industry unto herself. And I love these Monday sessions. Isn't that good?
Sure,
Doesn't
oh,
that
that's
sound
fun.
good?
Have fun in Holyoke.
There you go. Talk to you soon. And thank you everyone for watching.